Hi, I'm Mathias from TC Electronic, introducing the Plethora X1 TonePrint loader. This handy little device allows you to store up to 14 different effects at any given time, selecting from the TonePrint effects available in Plethora X3 and Plethora X5. First of all, we have these 7 different effect slots. And you can see by turning this, I can select between a range of different effects. These are just the preloaded effects on the pedal. You can change them out at any time using the TonePrint app, which we'll get into later. But if we, for example, see on the first slot, we have a Hall of Fame 2 reverb. On the second one, we have a Flashback 2 delay. On the third one, we have the Pipeline Tap Tremolo, and so on and so on. And using these different effects, you can change the TonePrint. So each of the effects comes with a bunch of different built-in TonePrints as well. So for the reverb, for example, we have Cathedral, we have Hall, we have Plate, Room, Shimmer, and then there's additionally a user TonePrint that you can load into the TonePrint. But at all times you have these built-in presets with you. And the way you change the preset is simply just by using the toggle switch here. So moving around with it through the menu, and then either you let it time out and it will select the TonePrint you're on, or you can manually press the foot switch to select it. You can also change the foot switch functionality on the pedal itself. And you do this by holding the foot switch and then using the toggle switch to enter the menu as before. You then scroll through the menu and select just as with the TonePrints. And for the reverb, we have the following options. So we have Mash, Latching, Momentary Mash, or AB mode. So first of all, we have Latching foot switch mode, which is basically what we know from most pedals. So this is, you press the foot switch to turn the effect off, and then you press it again to turn it on. Good old. Then we have Momentary foot switch mode, which is you press the foot switch down to enable the effect, and then when you release, you turn it off again. Mash, which is the pedal functioning as a regular on-off, but then in addition to that, we do what we call mashing, which is when you press the foot switch hard, it allows you to control a number of parameters on the effect that you can configure within the TonePrint editor. And this allows you to do sort of like what you would do with an expression pedal, but just using the foot switch. Then we have Momentary Mash, which combines the momentary mode from before with Mash as well. Of course, we also have Tap Tempo, which is enabled for effects such as the delay, the vintage echo, and the pipeline tap tremolo. So this is just regular on-off, but then you can also press and hold and start tapping a tempo. And the delay or the LFO speed for the pipeline tremolo will match the tap tempo. And the blue LED here will also indicate the tap tempo. And then last but not least, we have the AB mode. And this is where the 14 different effects come into play. So you see we only have the 7 different effect slots here, but using the AB mode, you can change between an A slot and a B slot. So sort of like a parallel slot. So we can see here we go from a reverb, a plate reverb, to a doubler. And we do this by using press and hold. And then apart from that, it is just latching on off as well. The TonePrint app is available for Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. Today I'm using the iOS version on an iPad. So you connect to the pedal. You can either do it via USB-C or via Bluetooth. So you can go to Settings, then press Connect to a Bluetooth enabled pedal. Then you press the little button here on the back of the pedal. And it'll show up in the menu, and you just press it to connect. once you've connected, we can see that there's a library here of existing tone prints. So we press the Plethora X1, then it shows all the different effects available for the Plethora X1. Then we can see, for example, let's see, flashback to delay. We can see a whole roster of different artists who have all contributed with tone prints. So we can, for example, take Charles Cave made a slow dive tone print. By pressing on the tone print, you will audition it, as we call it, which means you can hear it, you can play with it, and see whether you like it or not. Then once you've decided that you actually like a tone print, you press Store in Pedal, and it'll store it on the pedal, which means that you can now disconnect the app and it'll still be on the pedal. Furthermore, you can edit your own tone prints, which is where the tone print series really shines, in my opinion. So we can take, for example, a flashback 2 delay. We'll take the analog tone print as a template. These are all templates that you can work from and then tweak to your liking from there. And we'll press the pencil here, which opens up this menu where you can access a whole lot of parameters that you can't otherwise access on the pedal. And we can, for example, set the amount of flutter or the amount of wow. And these are just static presets, but what's even more interesting is that we can actually change the mapping, so we can decide what the different knobs actually control. So we can, for example, say knob C currently controls the router effects level, but we could instead get it to control, let's see, the flutter, for example. So when I turn the knob here, it says flutter, and it actually controls that. And I can even get it to control several parameters. So I can say we also want the same knob to control the low cut frequency of the internal filter, which we have now. So now we have both of them. And you can change the curves as well. So if you don't like the standard just linear curve, you can actually change around how the knob actually maps to the different parameters. And that's really neat. And apart from the different knobs here, you can also do mesh mapping, which is deciding what parameters the mesh switch actually controls when we use it in the mesh functionality. And this is where it really shines, in my opinion, because you can get really freaky and make some weird tone prints that's not just a static sound that you put on, but a sound that you can actually interact with and play with while you're playing. This edit menu is also where you access the product settings, so product-wide settings. So we can change the bypass mode, whether it's buffered bypass or true bypass. With buffered bypass, you also get trails on delays, for example. So when you turn off the effect, the delay will keep on going until it stops naturally. Whereas if you're in true bypass, it'll cut immediately as you turn off the effect. Then you have Killdry on or off. You can use this if you're using the Plethora X1 in an effects loop, where you might not want to have the dry sound, but only the wet sound. And then the last one here is parameter pickup, which is a new feature we created, where we can see that as I'm turning knob B here, it actually doesn't change the parameters until I hit where the parameters were previously set, which it does now. It sort of grabs the parameter and then it starts tweaking. I can then put this all the way to the max, and then I can go to another preset where I may want to take the same knob and put it all the way down. And then when I go back to slot 2, we can see that the B parameter here will just remain where it is until I actively go up and pick up the parameter, and then I can start tweaking. So now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, it's cool with the delays and the reverbs, but I'm not really interested in having a phaser. So can I just have a whole bunch of delays? And we got you covered. You can just store a whole lot of different delay tone prints onto the 7 different slots. And maybe let's put some reverbs on the last 4 or something like that. So my point is basically just that you're not limited to having a single user tone print or artist tone print of a certain type of effect. You can mix and match just as you want. So fully configurable. So that was an introduction to the Plethora X1 TonePrint loader and its functionalities. I hope we covered everything. If there's still any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if there's things you'd like us to discuss in a future video, leave that in the comments as well.